Tonight on News 5 Live, the PSU president and UDP condemn changes to Public Health Act, changes coming for juvenile justice, and want to know where the fish you are eating came from? Now there's an app for that. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun. With eCash, we can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
Watch The Truth of God with Pastor Gino Jennings of the First Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. exclusively on Channel 5 Belize. The Truth of God with Pastor Gino Jennings every Sunday at 8 a.m. on Channel 5 Belize.
Bundle the fastest, most reliable, unlimited broadband in Belize with your prepaid or postpaid mobile plan or Netflix. You can bundle your broadband with your prepaid and enjoy 50% off all national calls, plus get SMS and data. Paid plans? Then bundle with any speed and pay only $25 extra monthly to enjoy unlimited smart-to-smart calls, plus 500 minutes, plus 6,300 megabytes of data. Stream unlimited HD movies and TV shows with our broadband, plus the Netflix add-on for only $30 monthly, and enjoy streaming on your laptop, TV, phone, or tablet. Visit a smart showroom near you to sign up or upgrade to the bundle that's right for you. Smart, bringing people together.
The Mega Progressive Jackpot has been growing, and you can get your hands on over $500,000. You can win $560,636 this Saturday, October 23rd. You don't want to miss it, so go get your tickets and tune in to the next show. It airs live on Channel 5, Radio Bahia, and Love FM at 8 p.m. This is your chance to win big. You can also watch online on Facebook or YouTube. Just search for Belize Mega Bingo. Over $500,000 is waiting for you. Mega Bingo is the game.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Friday, October 22nd. I am Sabrina Daly. Tonight, the president of the Public Service Union, Dean Flowers, is speaking out about the amendment of the Public Health Act. The amendment, which will be tabled before the House of Representatives on Tuesday, will see the creation of a Director of Public Health and Wellness and a Director of Hospital Services, making the posts of the Director of Health Services redundant. Flowers says that GOB is once again tampering with the law, this time to get Dr. Marvin Manzanera out.
The immediate reaction from our general membership was, wow, what a shame. Here's another instance of an administration that is incapable of dealing with the issues that are affecting the public service, the respective ministries. And instead of addressing the issues, they have chosen to personalize those issues and address every individual. Now we see them moving to tamper with the Public Health Act to address Dr. Manza. The Public Service Union has stated before, if it is that there is evidence or anything to suggest that Dr. Manza is not suited for the position or is guilty of anything, then address those issues and deal with the person. However, simply because you don't like the person, or if the person, you don't deem the person to be, I don't know, a loyalist or a supporter or blue enough, then you don't do your best to work with that individual. There has been absolutely no attempt by this administration to work with the current Director of Health Services.
So what happens to the substantive DHS Dr. Marvin Manzanero? There have been conflicting communications from various government officials on the fate of the embattled senior public officer. One thing for sure, says Dean Flowers, is that Dr. Marvin Manza has not received any form of communication from the Ministry of Health since March of this year.
The Prime Minister gets on the media, and this was last week, and he said that the Minister of Health and Wellness, Ministry of Health and Wellness via the Minister, is in conversation with Dr. Manza on an exit package. I'm pretty quite sure you can look through your archives and replay that for him. He said they're working on an exit package. And none other than the Minister of Health, it was quoted in a newscast yesterday that he sent, I believe, a text message to say that Dr. Manza has in fact been offered one of these soon to be created new posts. Then there's another comment made by the Minister of Public Service yesterday. I don't quite recall what his comments were in relation to that issue. But clearly there is a lack of communication between the Minister of Health and the Prime Minister, or misinformation being communicated to the Prime Minister, or and I'm really hope that this is a big or a deliberate attempt to deceive and mislead the Belizean public by stating to them that in fact he has been offered one of those positions and he has not responded, versus the Prime Minister's comment, which is that they're working on an exit package to see him gone. I can say that I have done my own research on this matter. I have reached out to Dr. Manza as a member of this union, and I can say to you that there has been absolutely no communication between Dr. Manza and the Ministry of Health since March.
But can the government afford to hire new directors? The Prime Minister has said that the government is broke, and earlier this year, all public officers and teachers were given a salary cut and increment freeze. PSU President Dean Flowers does not believe that the Briceño administration is serious about addressing the high wage bill. He says that while vacant posts are being filled, a lot of new jobs are also being created, and the salaries are on a higher pay scale.
The government was never and is never honest about addressing the public sector wage bill. We've been saying that since November, despite this government coming to public offices and strong arming 10% of their salary and freezing their increment for 4 years, 3 under this administration and 1 under the Borough administration. They continue to hire people despite the high wage bill. This move alone will now require us to hire an additional person as a head of department at the highest end of the pay scale. Well, let me rephrase that. HODs, as we understand it, and as we know, it should be on pay scale 25. But there are some animals that are more equal than others that are now on pay scale 27. And perhaps, who knows where they'll put these 2 newly created posts, I don't know. This administration is not serious about curtailing the wage bill. As a matter of fact, even though they'll disagree, this administration is merely maintaining an unsustainable wage bill. And in my view, in the next 5 years, we may very well see a wage bill much higher than they found it.
A wage bill higher than before. But can Flowers substantiate that claim? He says just take a look at the Customs and Excise Department, which now has 4 deputy comptrollers and 9 assistant comptrollers. That's right, 9.
What I can tell you is that where austerity is controlled and controlling the wage bill is controlled, this administration has not kept its side of the bargain and has not been truthful to the Belizean people that in fact they would have managed the wage bill and reduce or maintain the current workforce to ensure that the wage bill is not increasing. I can tell you, it is not only within the Ministry of Health that you'll see this additional post or 2 posts being created at the higher end of the pay scale. But we have also seen that in the Customs and Excise Department, whereby that department, the top management of that department has grown from I believe it was 2 deputy controller to now as much as 4 deputy controller of customs. I don't know what all of them do. There is also I believe there was about 5 assistant comptroller of customs, and that has now expanded to 9 assistant comptroller of customs. So clearly the wage bill is not being managed in the way that this administration committed to managing it.
Today, the United Democratic Party issued a release saying this is the worst time to play politics with the healthcare system and accuses the Briceño administration of making moves to destroy the DHS office. The UDP says that, quote, Politics above professionalism is the clear rationale and purpose behind the announced intention of the Briceño administration to abolish the post of Director of Health Services and replace it with two lesser posts, neither of which will have the authority or command the respect that the office once had, unquote. The opposition condemns the decision, saying that Public Service Minister Henry Charles Usher could not offer a logical or coherent explanation for the move. The release goes on to ask several questions, but makes clear that the vital role of the office of the DHS requires that it always be shielded from politics, because the holder of the technical post is to guide the government and health system. The release ends by saying, quote, "To tamper with such an important office, particularly at this time when the health of the nation is under the most severe threat ever, is unthinkable, dangerous, and deadly," unquote. Coming up, changes are coming for the juvenile justice system. Minister Dolores Balderramos Garcia explains when we return.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, "Then departed Barnabas to Tarsus for to seek Saul, and when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch, and the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch." A little boy asked, "Father, what is a Christian?" The father did such a great job explaining to his son what a Christian should be according to the Bible that when he had finished, the young son asked, "Father, have I ever seen a Christian?" You have sympathy for that young boy who does not always see Christ, the Anointed One, exemplified in the Christian, the Anointed Ones. The word Christian is used only 3 times in the Bible, suggesting 3 great truths that being a Christian involves. First, in Acts 26 and 28, it involves a choice. "Then Agrippa said unto Paul, Almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian." A person is not born a Christian, but he must make a personal choice to believe and follow Christ. Secondly, in Acts 11:26, it involves a change. The word Christian was first used at Antioch in a derogatory way to belittle those early followers of Jesus because of the change he made in their lives. Years ago, a group of West Point cadets was confronted with a question, "What is Christianity?" They replied as one man, Oscar Westover, a young man at West Point whose very life meant the Lord Jesus Christ. Thirdly, in 1 Peter 4:16, it involves a commitment. "If any man suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God on this behalf." Reading the Bible will help answer the question, what is a true Christian? Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
Belize is here. No need to visit the Belize Tax Service and stand in long lines. Easily register your business today by visiting www.irisbelize.bts.gov.bz. When registered, Iris Belize allows you to prepare and pay for your tax services all from your fingertips, using your preferred bank, from your office or home. You will be supported with clear communication and prompt response time with a secure system you can trust. Our first 40 registering companies gets a gift for your commitment in being an early user. Iris Belize, effortless, easy and efficient electronic tax services for everyone.
So I'm going to wonder if by chance I could get your number. Digit Nice.
Of course, you have digital, right?
Yeah, of course.
The truth is, your credit lasts way longer with Digi. Like if you top up with like $30, that could last you 90 days. With the other guys, that must save 60. Then with the other guys, you have to use all of your good prime credit before you even touch your bonus credit. But with Digi, you could use your bonus credit before you even touch your prime credit. Like what are the point to have free credit if you can't use it how you want? So what are your number?
Just give me one moment.
The truth is, only Digi offers nationwide LTE coverage, fastest mobile data speeds, and the best call quality.
As we reported on Thursday, new legislation governing the juvenile justice system will be introduced at next week's House meeting by the Ministry of Human Development, Families and Indigenous Peoples Affairs. The minister who holds a portfolio on that matter, Dolores Balderramos Garcia, explained to News 5 what the changes will mean.
We will repeal the Certified Institutions Act. And then the other two bills that we're putting forward are what you call consequential. We will amend the Juvenile Offenders Act to change the wording from certified institution to residential care facility. So the amendments to the Juvenile Offenders Act and the Families and Children's Act is so that those acts don't refer to the Certified Institutions Act, but will now refer to what is called a residential care facility instead of a certified institution. So really, it's the repeal of a particular act, and then the consequential legislation is the amendment to those other pieces of legislation, the Juvenile Offenders Act and the Families and Children's Act. And like I say, there, Deputy Clerk of the National Assembly said it's called consequential legislation. And basically, it's very straightforward. All we do is change the wording in the consequential legislation, but the main thing that we are doing is doing what I call a significant paradigm shift away from certified institution, and we will now refer to the hostel, which we will rename shortly as well, but we will refer to the youth hostel as a residential care facility.
Balderramos Garcia explained that the law provides for a proactive rather than a reactive approach when dealing with children with vulnerabilities.
We want to change the paradigm away from criminalizing young people's behavior and looking at where there are indeed vulnerabilities and the need for child protection, you see? So in the Certified Institutions Act, there are something called status offenses. Now, status offenses mean that it's not an offense for an adult to do so, but it's an offense for a teenager, meaning like uncontrollable behavior. That's the favorite one, or the least favorite one, if I could put it that way. But also things like truancy, breaking curfew, smoking or drinking, you know. So we want to get away from that. No, that's not to say that we don't have some children in the hostel who have committed, say, a stealing or something like that. As a matter of fact, I think we have a couple of children there for stealing. And the age of criminal responsibility in Belize is 12. The vast majority of the children at the hostel are there for what is called status offenses. And that very horrible term of uncontrollable behavior means that there is vulnerability because the parents or guardians of that child haven't been able to cope with them. And so they want to put them somewhere that it's not their problem. No, the whole approach of our ministry, and we actually have families in the name of the ministry, is to try to strengthen families with the interventions from the ministry and to support families so that then we would not have children with uncontrollable behavior, you know? So that is really the approach that we want to take, and we will be signaling, for example, to the magistrate courts and the family court that if a parent comes and said, oh, this child is uncontrollable behavior, you don't just put them in the hostel until age 18.
24-year-old Dane Gillett is set to appear in the magistrate's court on Monday, where he is expected to be arraigned for the murder of 15-year-old Dwayne Gabriel. The suspected killer was charged and arraigned for a separate offense of aggravated assault on October 1st. Moments later, the Majestic Alley resident tested positive for COVID-19, delaying his arraignment for the count of murder. Gillett's mother has since come forward to defend her son's innocence. In a post on social media, she asserted that her son was attending a funeral at the time of the shooting. Gabriel was gunned down inside a grocery store on New Road on the evening of September 25th as he was purchasing a loaf of bread for his family to have supper. The senseless murder of the teenage minor has sparked outrage, as it is believed that he was killed innocently in an ongoing row between rival gangs on that side of Police City. After the break, sustainable fishing and eating, the app that lets you see where your fish came from and who caught it. But first, here's a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
Have you ever wondered how to tell if someone is marriage material? Do you ever wish there was more to your marriage? Maybe you've asked yourself, how do I raise my kids the way God wants me to? Join us for our new series, Mixtape. We'll play through how God wants us to love the people in our lives one track at a time. Get ready to crank up the volume and tune in for advice God gives us in the areas that matter most.
With the touch of a finger, we can easily unlock our phones and securely gain access to our data. This technology is called biometrics, and the Social Security Board is introducing fingerprint recognition to make transactions and handling of your sensitive data secure, fast, accurate, and convenient. Is your identity safe? Fingerprint recognition will keep your Social Security record secure and confidential while making your access fast and easy. It protects your identity. Is your name a common one? Fingerprint recognition uses your unique characteristics, ensuring your hard-earned benefits go directly to you, the rightful owner. Tired of all the paperwork? Fingerprinting makes this hassle-free. Your convenience and your information security is our priority. Fingerprint recognition coming soon. Social Security at your fingertips.
We have been a partner with Smart for over 10 plus years. We have a full Smart plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one, and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this Smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our Smart service, we pay an average about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to Smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
YAIS is the Sustainable Financing Initiative of YASCHE. YAIS provides ecotour, transportation, and accommodation services through Ecotourism Belize and sells organic seedlings from Yashche's nursery. YICE offers educational experiences to study abroad groups and provides local entrepreneurs with business opportunities. YICE prides itself to support sustainable livelihoods and reinvests all profits in its conservation efforts.
The continued fight against COVID-19 requires the continued practice of public health measures across all sectors and in every community. Frequent and proper hand washing, wearing face masks, and physical distancing. Do you know who is not physical distancing? The Aedes aegypti mosquito. Did you know that dengue is the most common mosquito-borne viral disease in the world? So let's get to work. Use window and door screens to keep mosquitoes out. Change the water in vases and scrub inside surfaces to remove mosquito eggs. Avoid using saucers with potted plants to prevent collection of water. Securely cover water barrels and drums with mosquito netting and properly fitted covers. Scrub the inside walls of water barrels and drums with detergent 1 to 2 times per week. Walk around the outside of your home and remove or overturn containers that can collect water and become breeding sites. Mosquitoes only need a small amount of water to lay their eggs. Remove unwanted cans, bottles, buckets, or used tires. Other items still in use must be properly stored in covered areas to avoid water settling in them. Clean roof gutters and air conditioner trays. Debushing and removing tall grass from around your home or establishment is also key to reducing mosquito populations. Fight the bite and protect yourself and your family too from mosquito-borne diseases.
Oceana Belize is piloting its Fish Right, Eat Right initiative in San Pedro. The technology allows for restaurateurs to track their fish purchase from catch to kitchen. It is Oceana's intent to encourage fishers to practice more sustainable ways of fishing. Currently, 10 fisherfolk are using the application, with some 25 restaurants on San Pedro being trained to use the technology. News 5's Paul Lopez visited San Pedro today to learn more.
Rarely do consumers of finfish products question where their fish comes from or ask if it was caught using a sustainable method. So, why should we care about these tidbits of information? According to Oceana Belize, it makes the world of difference.
The idea is that you want to know that the fish you're eating is one that, is caught responsibly. It's not caught using gear that will contribute to more overfishing. It's a fish that isn't protected, and you really want to just ensure that you're being a responsible consumer and then impacting the fishers, because if we demand better, then they'll provide what we demand.
Oceana Belize is revolutionizing the way we eat fish at our local restaurants. To find out more, we visited Elvis Kitchen on the island of San Pedro.
So today's our fish fillet. We have your choice of snapper or grouper. Different styles that we can prepare. The snapper or grouper would be on our menu, our famous Elvis coconut curry or our creamy garlic butter sauce.
The creamy garlic butter sauce grouper fillet sounded too good to resist. While my order went into the kitchen for preparation, I learned more about Oceana Belize's Fish Right, Eat Right initiative.
We're here to talk about something that we as Belizeans all love, fish. Whether it's fish soup, fry fish, hash fish, we all want it fresh, right? And that's what we advertise in Belize to locals and tourists alike. When we say catch of the day, we're talking about fish, and more consumers want to know where their food is coming from, and that includes our seafood, where our fish is coming from, who caught it, what area is it coming from.
And that is the idea with which the initiative was birthed, to make a direct connection between restaurants and fishers that are fishing responsibly. The technology is being provided by a company called Shell Catch. It incorporates 3 components: e-monitoring, e-reporting, e-marketing. Here is how it works from catch to kitchen.
Morning, B. Ready for full box? Yes, man. Just grab the rope and I will put on the camera. Each and every time we go out, we have to find further grounds. So when I heard about the program, I found it as a very good business opportunity Other fishermen, when they go out, they tend to bring in everything and anything, and that's what me and my crew don't do. We practice responsible fishing.
Just show me how the app work, G.
Easy thing, bro. All we gotta do is we're gonna put in how much fish we catch right there. Today we get 15 pounds of champagne and 30 pounds of queens. We have punched that in, and that's all. Oh, one more thing.
Connecting responsible fishers directly to restaurant chefs like Jenny Staines at Elvis Kitchen has solved sourcing and quality issues. Chef Staines serves up to 100 plates of fin fish per week, which means her demand for fresh quality fish is high.
Started, we had to call Belize City, sometimes go to Pongier Bridge, wait till from 3 o'clock till 5 because you have to come back home, or spend the overnight in Belize City, or try to source from people from Sarteneja.
So it solves your sourcing problem, but how interested are you in also knowing where your fish come from and where it is caught?
Well, that is the beauty of it now. We have commercial fishermen that the program got into from San Pedro. And now we just have to call them a few weeks before, tell them the amount of fish we want, and they will go out, fish, and we will know exactly what they're catching because they have their cameras, and we can know from when they're out at sea what we will be getting.
And lunch is served. So what I have here is some fish, garlic butter, a bit of potato salad with some plantains, and coconut rice. What I'm about to do is scan the app, and what this app is telling me is that my grouper came from a fisherman named Jose Marin, and his port is right here in San Pedro. And this is showing me how Jose caught the fish, where he caught the fish, since he has this camera installed. So it's such an innovative way of dining, all brought to us by Oceana and Elvis Kitchen. But all of that doesn't matter if the food doesn't taste good. All right, traceable grouper. Currently, the app only allows for fishermen to market their products to restaurateurs. But soon enough, as interest grows, the regular consumer like you and I who visit the fish market will be able to access these services. Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
Oceana in Belize released its 2020 report on the state of Belize's fisheries on Thursday. It's a 172-page document that lays out the challenges of the country's marine sector, as well as the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the livelihoods of fisherfolk and other industry stakeholders. With a steady decline in contribution to the gross domestic product, the state of fisheries in Belize is dire, notwithstanding strides in other areas, including a new Fisheries Act, as well as a ban on gill netting and trawling. Alyssa Noble Carnegie is Oceana's communications director.
The State of Belize Fisheries Report 2020 really looks at overall kind of performance of finfish, its management, as well as shellfish, and really gives some case studies of different fishers. We're really excited to have be able to produce it because it's been in the works for some time, and it does factor into account some of the things from COVID, but really what it's been looking at, and we're happy to provide a kind of executive summary of the findings to you later, but primarily that, finfish production really constituted a greater part of our GDP, or gross domestic product, up until I think 2015, 2016, when it fell from about 80% of which it constituted to about 20%, and it's been steadily going down. I really have to look at the numbers to be able to quote you on that specifically, but just in terms of on GDP, there was a peak of high production about 2015, and then it fell steeply, and ever since it's not been able to rise up again to those higher levels that we once saw. What the study really looks at is trying to look at individual fisheries, lionfish, looks at the impact of some of the decisions that have been taken from the policy perspective, in terms of the gillnet ban, trawling, other measures that have been taken as well, the new Fisheries Act, and, kind of just seeing the impact of it in terms of overall Belize fisheries.
According to Noble Carnegie, the purpose of the report is to consolidate information on the fisheries sector, making it easier to access data for research.
Any information that's provided on any of these fisheries we feel is absolutely helpful, because as much as we can make decisions on their management based on numbers, on evidence, the better we can make sure that they're impactful, not just for the sake of fish, but for the sake of people who depend on fish and, the communities. And with 60% of Belize's population living along the coast, it's a very big amount of our population that's dependent on these resources. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring as much information to the public, where it's not like, if I want information on fisheries, I have to write someone, get permission to gain access to that, or be able to see it. What we hope to do is be able to say, if that doesn't really exist, if that's not being forthcoming, or if it's not completely public, trying to make that information more accessible to the Belizean public so they have that information. Because we do also get lots of requests from students, different people asking for different sorts of information, and they all have to be directed to other different entities to try to get a good insight, and we're really just trying to hope to see to consolidate some of that.
Questions have been raised since the Prime Minister announced that his latest trip to Mexico entailed a discussion with Mexican authorities about the possibility of building a bridge to link Burgers Key with Mexico. Some conservationists are concerned over the impact such a project could potentially have on the Bacalar Chico Marine Reserve, located at the closest point to Mexico, separated only by a channel. While the proposal seems to be in its early stages, since there has been no further word on the plans, today reporters asked the communications director at Oceana Belize, Alyssa Carnegie, about their position on the possible development.
As many people as we've heard that may be excited, we've also heard a lot of people who were absolutely surprised, saying, especially from San Pedranos, this is the first time we've heard of this. We haven't heard of this before. We haven't been consulted. We haven't been engaged. And that's one of the primary concerns that we do have about all these projects that come up. It's more of a systemic issue as opposed to a project-by-project position, which is often the approach we're taking. Decisions are made as a project comes in. What we're asking for is the same thing we're sure all investors are asking for, which is predictability, understanding what's required and what the processes are. And that's what Belizeans are asking for. The San Pedrano community who wants to be consulted deserve to be consulted, as does the St. Bite community with the gas stations that are being built. And so it really is then about making sure that these situations don't occur over and over again. As numerous representatives of Oceana has told you before, or have said before, we're often painted as this anti-development institution. So many instances because it's airports on the reef yesterday, it's port proposals today, all of which have different components to it, and it can't be that everything is subjective and individualized as, to each proposal as they come in. There has to be some sort of systemic adjustment, and that's what we're asking for, is that the system needs to be fixed to give communities, give Belizeans the opportunity to understand what's happening in their country, to support it, or to also raise their concerns.
The COP21 United Nations Climate Change Conference, also known as COP26, is quickly approaching, and Oceana Belize is looking forward to the event. The event is scheduled for the 31st of October to the 12th of November. We asked Carnegie what Oceana expects will be the priority issues for Belize.
We're very excited. Climate change isn't something, when you hear Oceana, everyone's like, oh, yes, you could automatically with Oceana, but we are very excited about it because we understand the impacts, and we're primarily seeing it through things like sea level rise, coral bleaching, because of rising ocean temperatures, the rising sea levels, with all the rains we've had over the past couple of days. Belize City, low-lying coastal areas are all flooded, and including parts here in San Pedro. So we're really excited about it because as a coastal community, who generates contributes very little to greenhouse gas emissions, which has been found as a direct cause for climate change. We're on the front lines of it. We're the first ones who are on the receiving end, having to deal with the catastrophic impacts from it. So beyond looking at adaptation and mitigation efforts, which is so often what is being spoken about here with us, it's a cost that also has to be taken on by countries themselves, countries who, like the Caribbean, that have very little funds, you would say, or resources compared to some of these global multinational companies who work and contribute directly to fossil fuel emissions. And we're left with the cost of trying to help rebuild communities, families who lose their homes because of stronger hurricanes and storms, parts of countries that are completely wiped out after stronger storms, flooding. In recent memory, people in Cayo last year, we can all recall the impacts of those. And, where does that come from? Who shoulders the burden of climate change for these people, for these communities? And that's a big thing for us.
Just ahead, some good news coming from women's football, and Belizean cyclists head to California. But first, here's a weather update with data from the Belize Met Service.
This weather update is brought to you by SMART. This weather update was brought to you by SMART.
Hello, I am Dr. Gonzalez. As a medical professional who is on the front line at the hospital, I can testify that having access to rapid antigen tests for COVID-19 has been a critical addition to our national testing strategy. Rapid testing allows us to identify COVID-19 cases within minutes and take precautions immediately to prevent transmission. Rapid antigen tests serve a different purpose than PCR testing, which is considered the gold standard. Rapid tests are a screening tool designed to identify cases with a high enough viral load in the nasal passage to be contagious. A rapid test with a high level of accuracy is key, and Belize has been using the SD biosensor rapid test, which has proven to have an accuracy rate of 88% for positives. It is also one of only 2 rapid antigen tests to receive emergency use authorization from the World Health Organization. With governments, medical professionals, and all of us working together using quality tools like the SD biosensor rapid antigen test, we will beat COVID-19.
Nestle. Start healthy, stay healthy.
Es un hecho. Únicamente con Smart obtienes todo realmente ilimitado. Solo con Smart obtienes datos ilimitados en cualquier momento. Mientras que con el otro proveedor solo son datos dobles los fines de semana. Con datos ilimitados todos los días no hay necesidad de esperar, así que es un hecho que nuestros planes ilimitados superan a la competencia. Por lo tanto, no permita que le digan cómo y cuándo usar sus datos y obtenga llamadas, mensajes de texto y datos ilimitados. Vive la verdadera experiencia de planes ilimitados con Smart. Es un hecho. Haga el cambio y viva Smart.
Why should we get a COVID-19 vaccine? First, to protect our health. Vaccines are safe and effective at preventing severe disease and death from COVID-19. Also, the impact of vaccines on the transmission of the virus is being studied. Meanwhile, we already have powerful reasons to get vaccinated for our own good and for the good of others. Second, we should get vaccinated for our community's health. Our health systems are overwhelmed treating COVID-19 cases. By getting vaccinated, fewer of us will need medical care or hospitalizations from this disease. This promotes the health of our communities by allowing other healthcare issues that are being postponed to be addressed, such as care for chronic diseases. Third, we should get vaccinated for our community's well-being. COVID-19 has also caused poverty and unemployment and has generated an economic and social crisis. Vaccines will allow us to reactivate our economies gradually and to go back to the social interactions that we miss so much. The more people are vaccinated, the sooner we will be able to safely carry out the activities we had to drastically limit and that are key to the well-being of our communities. Some achievements will only be possible if we all cooperate. Health emergencies test our ability to help one another and act for the health and well-being of our communities. We all have the moral duty to get vaccinated against COVID-19 as soon as it is available to us and to follow public health measures to end the pandemic soon. The fight against COVID-19 depends on everyone.
There's good news coming out of Florida today for the under-17 female national team, who went on to beat the national team from Barbados 2-1 in the CONCACAF U17 Women's Tournament. Earlier this week, the team lost to Curaçao. They regrouped, and today, with renewed motivation, the team won. Team captain Khalidia Velasquez, who scored both goals for Belize, as well as goalkeeper Jalina Belial, spoke about the win.
I feel good about it because we win.
Now, Khalidia, you were down 1-0 in the first half. What did the coaching staff tell you heading into the second half of this game?
To work hard and play as a team.
Now, Khalidia, you are the captain of this team. Tell us how you feel in getting those 2 goals.
I feel good about it to make my country proud, and we made victory.
When I see the ball come, I say I need to catch this because I see like it don't make it drop in at the way at the top, like close to the pole, and I say make I reach for this, and I just tip it, I knock on the bar and it drop on the ground, it nearly gone in, but I hurry hard to hold it, sir.
That was an excellent save, and you showed up. Now tell us, how do you think the rest of your players played today?
Sir, well, this game, I see what I tell you, this game is going better than the first game. None of them never nervous, they come out hard. Like, them really want this on by the last minute. Khalidia get the goal. Khalidia had the real goal. Like, sir, that made a good game. Everybody put their part and everybody play good. And we say we make Belize proud.
Coming into the second game, we focus on going out there to win. I told the girls, we discussed as a team that we had to forget what happened in the first game and that we had to go out there and prove to the country that we had talent and that we've been working hard and that we can move forward with the team. We want the Belize to see that last didn't determine our future.
On Sunday afternoon, a Belizean contingent travels to Sacramento, California for the Into the Lion's Den Criterion, hosted by Belize national champion Justin Williams and his team, Legion of Los Angeles. Joining Kaya Catus are Giovanni Lovell, Oscar Curas, Byron Pope, Jafari Castro, and Jocelyn Chavaria Jr. The team is taken care of financially by Glenn Flowers, the owner of the G-Flow cycling team. As we reported earlier this week, $100,000 in cash prizes will be split evenly among the competing men and women. 17 women's pro teams will be lining with top women from various countries, including Europe and the USA. Kaya will be riding on the SoCal Women's Composite team. Meanwhile, there are 24 men's pro team, and the guys will be riding on the Caribbean team. Today, the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, released new information about vaccine safety and efficacy. Dr. Alba Maria Ropero shared that there's also a new recommendation for booster shots for people with immune-compromised systems.
The Strategic Advisory Group from WHO reviewed the recommendations based on new evidence in order to see what was the situation with the protection of specific groups, such as the immunocompromised people or the elderly. And then there was a recommendation that immunocompromised people, such as people with active cancer, organ transplant, immunodeficiency, people with HIV, they need an additional dose in order to boost their response, to improve their protection. That means that they will need, from now on, 3 doses. People with immunocompromised conditions, they need 3 doses. And the other recommendation was for the elderly, people who had been vaccinated with inactivated vaccines, such as Sinovac and Sinopharm, that the evidence shows that there is a decline in the protection in the elderly. If you compare the vaccination, the elderly versus younger adults, the protection is lower. And then with the idea to improve the response, to improve their antibodies, and then they have to receive another one.
PAHO's Dr. Ropero explained that the 3rd dose for the elderly and severely ill people is not to be confused with the booster shot, which is recommended for healthy people after their vaccines have become inactive over time. WHO also does not recommend mixing and matching different brands of vaccines because there are still studies being conducted on whether mixing different brands are safe. And while there have been over 6 billion people who have been vaccinated worldwide, Dr. Margarita Giselli explained that there have been no long-term effects reported with any of the vaccines that have been approved.
In terms of long-term effects, no long-term effect has really been identified. And remember that to date, the world has received 6.5 billion doses of vaccine across the globe in almost all countries of the world. So if there were long-term effects from the vaccine, we probably would have heard about it up until now, since we've been vaccinating since December of last year. So we've been going for 11 months and really nothing has been identified, even though scientists in all these countries keep looking very, very carefully. So no real long-term consequences from the vaccine itself. From the disease itself, certainly that's where we talk about long COVID. And that is one of the great advantages of receiving the vaccine. You're much less likely to first become infected with COVID and then to suffer from the long-term consequences.
Short-term effects last only a couple of days and include body ache, fever, and headaches. The records show that the most deaths are among the unvaccinated. They stand 11 times more at risk of hospitalization and death. At present, there are studies being conducted to determine if children under the age of 12 can be vaccinated for COVID, and if so, which vaccine would be most appropriate. Like a number of other public buildings recently, the National Assembly in Belmopan closed today at midday for sanitization of all the offices. This was due to a staff member testing positive for COVID-19. A notice from the clerk's office says services to the public will resume on Tuesday, the 26th of October. The special sitting of the House of Representatives, which has been scheduled for Monday, has been postponed to Tuesday as well. Up next, recognizing Caribbean women jurists, including one of our own. And Barbados takes a major step towards becoming a republic. Stay with us.
What is the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine? The Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is an RNA vaccine that triggers our immune system to develop antibodies against the SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes COVID-19. It helps to reduce hospitalization, severity of the disease, and death. What is the Pfizer vaccine made of, and is it safe? The Pfizer vaccine is made up of mRNA messenger ribonucleic acid, which are molecules that carry the genetic information needed to make proteins, lipid, salts, and sugar. It is safe for persons 12 years and older and does not contain the COVID-19 virus, hence cannot cause infection. Tests have shown that the vaccine is effective against current virus variants. Who should take the Pfizer vaccine? The Pfizer vaccine should be taken by persons 12 years of age and older who do not have severe allergic reaction after a previous dose of vaccine or have not had severe allergic reaction to any ingredient of this vaccine. 2 doses of the vaccine are required 3 weeks apart. If you are between the ages of 12 and 17 years, you are required to present a signed consent form before you are vaccinated. What are the side effects of the Pfizer vaccine? Some common side effects of the Pfizer vaccine are headache, fatigue, muscle pain, fever, chills, and swelling at the injection site. If side effects persist, contact your doctor as soon as possible. Does the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine prevent infection and transmission? No, vaccination alone does not prevent infection and transmission. We are still required to continue to wear masks properly, physically distance, wash and sanitize hands often, practice proper coughing and sneezing hygiene, and avoid crowds.
When something is good and you can save, that makes it even better. Like this guy, he buys Flex bundles using his promo credit. No worries when his primary credit is finished. He gets talk, text, and data for free. Or her, she calls her family internationally with her promo credit. And with data packages so affordable, she even does video calls. Smart continues to offer great deals and affordable promotions. As a small business owner, she saves when she uses her promo credit to call the other guys. All Smart customers enjoy more triple days and knowing they can use their promo credit, which just lasts longer. Smart, bringing people together.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
The Caribbean Court of Justice Academy for Law has published a new book, Pioneering Caribbean Women Jurists. It features 34 outstanding legal women from across the region, including Belize's own Ambassador Lois Young. This morning, Justice Winston Anderson of the CCJ Academy for Law was a guest on Channel 5's Open Your Eyes. He noted that in Belize, the posts of Chief Justice, Chief Magistrate, and Attorney General are all filled by women. He also outlined the history of women in Caribbean law, beginning with the first female lawyer in Guyana in 1929. Before then, he says, women were completely locked out of the profession. But that has changed significantly, and in fact, spectacularly.
Since then, there has been a very steep elevation of the presence and the visibility and the status of women in the legal profession. So now, if you look around our jurisdictions, you'll be pleased to hear that in many cases, the women are in fact leading in many aspects of our legal life. So that in the judiciary, for example, the case of Guyana once more, the women who head the judiciary, both as Chief Justice and as Chancellor, are in fact very strong women in their own rights. And before them, we had Desiree Bernard, who is a very well-known regional figure, who also led the judiciary in Guyana and was the very first woman judge on the Caribbean Court of Justice. But we have women who have led and are leading in almost every jurisdiction that you can mention in the region. And of course, in in Belize,
Yes.
the Chief Justice, of course, is Judge Arana. So we have women now in every conceivable position in the legal system, and I think we're all the better for it. So we're very, very honored to have been able to include Her Excellency, the Ambassador Lois Young, in the book as a pioneering Caribbean woman jurist. I believe she's very well known.
Yes. Yes.
In Belize, of course, being the representative and ambassador of Belize to the United Nations. But the book is a compilation of the biographies of all 34 women that we have honored. And her biography, Her Excellency's biography, was written by her brother, I think her younger brother, Harold, Dr. Harold Young. And he wrote a beautiful essay about his big sister, shall we say, and tells a story of their early life in Belize City. To look at the contribution that women have made to the legal infrastructure of our region. And we thought it was therefore fitting that on this occasion, we would look at the tremendous contribution that women have made to various aspects of our legal arrangements. So we look, for example, at the contributions that they have made as head of state, as head of government, as judges, as teachers, legal activists, as diplomats. And we were just amazed to realize that the contribution is really nothing short of spectacular.
The island of Barbados elected its first president today as they transition towards becoming a republic. Dame Sandra Mason secured 2/3 of the votes in the Barbadian parliament. In September 2020, Mason had said in a speech, "The time has come to fully leave our colonial past behind." That same month, Barbados announced they would become a republic, a process that involves removing the Queen as head of state. According to Reuters News, Prime Minister Mia Mottley characterized Mason's win today as a seminal moment in Barbadian history. Barbados officials have said their goal is to complete the process of becoming a republic before the country's 55th anniversary. And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.